Welcome to Hello Self. It's a podcast focused on turning your can'ts into cans and your dreams into plans. I am your host, coach, and author, Patricia Leonard. Hello there, and welcome to my Hello Self podcast. I am Patricia Leonard, your host. And we've been here before several times, but I always like to repeat the mission. The mission of Hello Self podcast is to turn your can'ts into cans and your dreams into plans. Now, today is a very different podcast. Yes, I'm on here alone, and I am here to make an announcement. Starting with the closing of this podcast posting, I will be taking a pause on Hello Self podcast. But I want to tell you a little bit about what has brought me to this decision and where we go from here. I'm not leaving. I'm only making a new approach to Hello Self. So I've made several pages of notes, and I will be reading some of those, maybe expanding on them a little as I go through this. I wanted to make this a closing that you could understand and why I'm leaving and what transpired in my life that brought me to this point, because I am sure many of you have had these same kind of things as happenings as you've gone from, or at least making a decision to go in a new direction. So I am going in a new direction, but it's a continuation of what my life purpose has always been, and I'll be sharing that. So I wanted to say that, again, I am your host and have been for the last 2.5 years. However, as this new year begins, and I know we're into month 3, time flies, doesn't it? I'm also reminded that with every new beginning, there is an ending. And in some ways, we're making a new beginning and new endings all the time. Recently, I've found myself experiencing Hello Self moments and reflecting on my journey forward, contemplating what is next and where is this next new beginning for me. For example, in life, every day is truly a new beginning. However, yet we often see it as a continuation of the day before or yesterday. And I am saying for you and for me, this kind of thinking can get us stuck in a flip-flop lifestyle of complacency and acceptance. So I am the type of person, maybe this is not your personality, but I started feeling like every day I was getting up, and yes, it was a new beginning. And I kept seeing a vision for that new beginning. And that's where I'm going to start talking a little bit more about this. I know deep in my soul that this is the perfect time for me to create an ending and open space for a totally new beginning. Now, it may not be a new beginning for everything that I've done in my life, but the way most of you know me, it will be a totally new beginning. And yet, I still have no clear vision on what that new beginning is. But you know what I've discovered? Unless I'm willing to step out there, the only things I'm going to see are those things that are around me. So when I close this podcast, then I'm going to see some different things. Do I know what they are? No, not exactly, but I have a vision. However, The tug at my heartstrings, even though I don't know exactly what that is, the tug at my heartstrings has been relentless for the past 3 months. So it is inevitable that an ending is taking place. And I think that's what we all have to pay attention to is what's happening to us. We know sometimes when it's time for an ending and we just don't do it. But I had to put a stake down, and so do you, on when that ending is, the date is, or the time is. And in this space of not knowing right now, this is the only way I know how to make a new beginning. I have reviewed the various philosophies I have written about, coached, and spoken about. Funny thing, most of my answers seem to be speaking to me through words of wisdom that I have written and coached other people on. And some of these words that I have written are in books. And I'll just give you the titles. They are titled Becoming. I don't know what I'm becoming right now, but I know that it's time. Hello, Self. I wrote a book on Hello Self, and then we created a podcast so we could learn together who we are and what our next step is. Sometimes we just don't know. And the third book that I picked up that I have written is called The Listening and the Knowing. And I am convinced, as I told you, that I've had this tug at my heartstrings. It's been relentless for the last 3 months, maybe even started stepping out before that, but for the last 3 months. And I have to listen to that. What is it saying? I may not know, and you may not know right away, but you do know that something has to shift in your life. I have a lot of clients that come to me, and I don't tell them do this or do that. But if they want to do something, I do say, what is the date that you're going to take that first major step by creating something or telling somebody something or leaving something? Because I think sometimes writing it down and not just letting it flow around in the ethers is really impactful. That pencil and that seeing registers in our mind where words don't do it. To refresh my memory of the book's content, I opened and began to browse of all three of those books. In each book, the messages were loud and clear about the importance of getting to know one's ever-evolving self. Isn't that funny? That's what I coach and consult to businesses on and speak about. And I had written it in there. And I realized this nudge that I kept feeling at my heartstrings was part of me evolving, my evolving self. I realized that 2024 was an ending year for certain aspects of my life and my career direction, and 2025 housed my new beginnings. So I had to start the transitioning process, and that's what I've been doing for the last 3 months. I had this Hello Self podcast. I've also had a TV show, High Heels Cabaret, and then made commitments to other people in helping them decide what they wanted to do with their lives. And I had to start phasing that out so I could start with a clean slate. I even did a vision board for myself. And that was very interesting because I hadn't done that for a long time, but I wanted to see what kind of things came out. And all I did was got some magazines and cut out some pictures that spoke to my heartstring. And then I pasted them on a sheet of paper. Then I framed them. I wanted them to be important and setting out where I could see them. How did I know that 2025 was housing a new beginning? Well, I'll tell you, and you've had this happen before. My energy dropped on the work that I had been doing. And my work became something I didn't really want to do, but I forced myself to do it because I had made a commitment to myself. I am sure each of you has been there at some time in your life and career where you knew it was time to go. It was time to take another step, but you didn't know what direction, or you didn't even know your interest. I have a lot of clients that come and I say, "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. I'm just not happy." That's the way I was feeling. That was the big issue. And that's the big issue for a lot of people. But we'll never figure out what it is we want to do or what we call our purpose unless we step forward on faith and belief that something will happen. Something will happen. You'll either find, wow, this was the right thing to do, or it wasn't the right thing to do. I had no idea about really what my interests and directions were. Yes, I did in a way. I know that I always like to look at helping others find their dreams and goals. But isn't that funny? How can we help others when we can't even find out? But I had no idea, frankly, of the specific direction and felt at a loss for possibilities. That's what a lot of my clients tell me when they come, or when I have a speaking engagement. People afterwards would say, "Patricia, those are exactly the words I need to hear." For the past 2 to 3 years, the things I have loved about Hello South podcast and High Heels Cabaret television variety show were the artistic aspects. The artistic aspects. And that's what I love. I love creating and I love the arts. And I find that there's a lot of wisdom in the scientific research and in bringing that to life in the arts. So, each of these endeavors encourage both mine and others' self-expression. So, realizing the cabaret and the Hello Self, many have said to me, "Patricia, I didn't know I could do that. I had no idea. I'm not even a funny person. I had no idea I could be a comedian, or I don't know what I would do. I would like to be on your show, but I don't know what I would say or do." "Don't worry, we'll figure out something." And that's what we did. And we helped others figure out what was the self-expression that they wanted to share at that moment. I really think that our society is feeling stuck. They want to express because there's something inside of them screaming to get out. That's why they get so upset and short-tempered with each other, is because it's not about the other person. It's about they have not, and me too, I was finding myself there. I'm not patient, not with myself or with anybody else. Every little thing they did drove me crazy. And I was trying to be nice because I really don't like myself when I'm ugly, and I know you don't. But we are looking for self-expression and personal awareness of the wisdom and talents that we each possess. We don't know a lot of times, what else could I do? I had a young lady one time that was working for me, and she was in accounting. She was a single mom with 2 daughters, and she said, Patricia, I don't like this work. I'm not a numbers kind of person. I just did this because it was a chance to get a promotion in the company. And I said, well, what do you want to do? What would you do if you could? She said, I don't know yet, but I do know what makes me excited. And I always wanted to be a dancer. And I like being out there expressing in front of somebody, making them laugh or see. And I said, well, I got an idea. She wanted to be in front of people. She wanted to be able to share something that she felt good about, and she likes movement. And I said, and I was in human resources, and I said, well, how about something in training? So she bid on a job in training in this company, and she came to me a year later and said, Patricia, this is the happiest I've ever been, and I have been here 10 years. So sometimes we just have to know who we are, what we like. We don't have to name the exact direction we're going in. Just be able to tell somebody, if I could do anything I wanted, I would be moving around. I would be talking to people. I would be in front of a crowd. We'll figure it out. It had been the opportunity to continue my work. It had been the opportunity. And these 2 venues, Hello Self and High Heels Cabaret, had been the opportunity to continue my work as a coach, speaker, and cheerleader for others. Our world and society in general is entering a major turning point and universal awakening. Now, I know that most of you can feel that. You may not call it the words I call it, but you know there's just something that's just not quite right. Ask your children, they can help you. This awakening is driving a desire for renewal in the lives and careers of individuals. And frankly, most businesses, large and small. And I've consulted with both entrepreneurs, medium-sized businesses, and large corporations. And I have watched individuals within there feel trapped because they needed the money, because they didn't want to get out and look for another job, because they didn't know what they wanted to do. Hello, Patricia. As a message artist dream builder, and that's what I call myself, this transition opens a door for my work of creating pathways for individuals and businesses to turn their can'ts into cans and their dreams into plans. That's what I am, a message artist dream builder. And we'll talk more about that because this is an art. Hello Self is an artistic approach to building dreams and helping people become aware of who they are. Hello Self was a variety show, allowing and encouraging individuals to express maybe something they'd never expressed before, self-discovery. As a message, and businesses too, I might say. I want to, because I didn't talk to that much, but yes, I have been able to turn teams around through my dream building artistic approaches as a message artist. I can't go into all of those right now, but I've had corporations, large corporations, in workshops, giving them roles to do, not to talk to one another, but to act out something, maybe dress up, and then act out a play that speaks louder than words. Because we processed it afterwards, and people said, I've been to many workshops like this before, communication workshops, but I've never been to one like this. This is powerful. As a message artist, I use various artistic approaches. That's one, is I create a Broadway show. What is it you want to tell this group or your manager or whatever? And we create I've had them paint pictures, paint on canvas how they want to act in the business each day. What's important? Then we hung it on the wall. So I know this probably is like spaced out. It's like spaced out kind of approaches, but these things work. As a message artist, I use various artistic approaches to expand visions for the business, visions for individual, build runways to success, put a plan together for the business, for the individual, for the organization, and encourage boldness in living a fulfilled life, or boldness in taking a new step in their business. We get stuck. And yet we know we're not happy, or we're not producing what we could produce. So I think boldness sometimes is very important, because it breaks that prison that we have found ourselves in for years. But how do I do that? I said I can expand visions, build runways to success, and encourage boldness, but how? So far, the walking, meditating, and exploring out of the box thoughts have not generated many possibilities in me yet. I go for walks, I talk to the birds, I do everything, trying to get clear. And I'm sure you have too. This time it feels like a major change too. Sometimes it's nothing more than joining a group that I said, but this was a major life change. And yet I realized that my previous learning has established a base, even though it may take a different form. So I've got a good foundation, and so have you, because you've done something, you've lived something in your life. It doesn't matter. I had a woman that had always been a stay-at-home mom. Her kids were gone now. And she said, Patricia, I want to get in the corporate world. What do you want to do? I want to do marketing. I said, well, where have you done marketing? She said, well, I was on the PTO committee and I marketed the selling of candy to make money so that the teams could. I said, well, that's a good marketing approach. So we sold it. And she got a job in marketing in corporate human resources. No, I mean in the corporate world. So we think that those things are outside of us because we haven't done them. We have done something in our life that can help us. And that's what I want to continue doing that. And I've got to talk to myself about that too. This work can happen at individual, group, and society levels. So we can establish a major change at the group level. After all, Stephen Covey says that all change begins with us. Check out his circle of influence model and see what he'll tell you. Frankly, I like settings of mixed multiples, as when there's several in the group, we see through different lenses. And they help us see through different lenses by saying, well, this is what I see you doing. This is how I see you, which can encourage a supportive community approach. So in corporate America, teams, well, this is how I see you. In academic settings, well, this is how I've experienced you. Well, you stepped up and you were the leader for such a, we forget all those things that we have done that has positioned us for whatever our next step is. The tools for these endeavors will, let me get another sheet of paper, will be taken basically from the 3 books mentioned above. So those kind of things, becoming is something that happens every day in our life. You're a different person than you were yesterday. We just don't see that. And I'm a different person, and I'm taking steps even though I don't know where I'm going. It will consist of exploring, clarifying, becoming, and adopting a lifestyle of listening and awareness. So that's exactly what I have even asked people, what do you think my greatest talent is? They say, Patricia, you can motivate people to jump off cliffs. Or you're always doing something creative. And I do like to talk to myself. Sometimes sometimes I don't give her all positive stuff either. But I think the thing is, it takes exploring. What have I always wanted to do? Where am I? Where can I make the greatest impact right now? And I did. I asked myself all these things as I would walk, talk to others. I go to Planet Fitness to work out every day. First of all, that's good for clearing my mind because while I'm there, I'm just thinking about exercising, and I'm not a talker there. I know you can't believe that, but I'm not. Except when I come in, I love to talk to these young people at the front desk. I was talking to a young lady yesterday, and I said, "So are you in college?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, are you going to college?" And she said, "No." And I said, "Well, tell me what your aspirations are." She said, "Well, my mother has a business and she and I have talked about it and I'm going to take it over." I said, "What is that business?" She said, "It's painting and wallpapering. She's been doing this for a number of years and made a good living. And it gives her a creative outlet. She meets people. It has all the things that she loves about life." And I said, "Is that what you love?" She said, "Yes, I work with her all the time and I love it. And I help my grandmother. My grandmother had the same business." She was all excited. And I told her, "You know what? Not everybody has to go to college. No, there are many successful people that have taken um, trade schools, come up through their own business, maybe started out. I know a woman I interviewed on my podcast. She started out as a cleaning lady. She really liked that business. And some people would say, "Oh, do you like cleaning for other?" She said, "Patricia, I loved it." She's a millionaire now. So she kept expanding her business from individual homes to corporate offices to real estate organizations to consulting about business startups, because that's how she started. And it was amazing. And sometimes we just get lazy. I've got a college education in this. No, sometimes I had a young man. He was from an Asian country and they had moved to the United States, his mom and dad. Well, his brothers and sisters had gone into engineering and nursing and all this. And so his mom and dad said, "Sang, you got to go into engineering or something that's going to give you a good living." Well, he did like engineering. But let me tell you what happened. He tried civil, he tried mechanical, he tried every kind of engineering. And I brought him in as a summer intern. And he said, Patricia, I don't want to be an engineer. And I said, well, what do you want to be, Sang? He said, I want to do what you're doing. I want to hire and coach people. And I said, okay, go back. And he was from Purdue. I said, go back and finish your final year of engineering. I will bring you back into the company in engineering as an engineer, and you stay in there 1 to 2 years, and then I'll bring you out into human resources as the engineering hiring manager for engineers in the engineering department, and you can coach people from the universities when they have the same issue. So there's always a way to get what you want. I got to remind myself of that all the time too. There's a way to get what you want. Sometimes we have to talk to somebody about it, and then they've got a possibility for us. Now, if you think about all of these things, adopting the listening and the becoming aware, how can this be done? This approach, as I see it now, will be to offer inspirational, and that's what I'm looking at, is to offer inspirational coaching and speaking events, create focus groups dedicated to exploring ongoing social and societal shifts, use media and the arts as transformational tools, involving individuals from small children, this is the work that I see myself doing, to seniors as part in the transitional change. So how could I work with small children? Well, I've got grandchildren, and I encouraged my grandson when he was 6 years old to write a book. He has a book on Amazon, Gavin's World, and he sells these. The one woman I was coaching actually was a lawyer for families that were involved in divorce. And she bought 125 and asked him to sign it right off the bat. He said, Mom, Pat, I don't know how to write. I said, that's okay, print. And we now have a book out there. So I think sometimes somebody else can see things in us that we can't see. And so we got to reach out. Say, I'm not happy. And I'm not happy in the work I'm doing. So anyway, I can work with small children. I can work with all ages. And I like that. However, one of the biggest impacts right now would probably be the individual adults and businesses. But I'm open. I'm open. And so this is a note that I got, and I thought it was very impactful. The difference between transformational change and transitional change. Now, transformational change is disruptive and visionary with short and longer term goals. So that might be something you might say, well, this is, I really want to own my own floral shop. So what I'll do is I'll talk to a florist, and on Mother's Day, maybe I can come in and help them out and learn. Or work part-time in something like that. So that's short and longer term goals. That's transformational. Then transitional is more about refinement and efficiency within the existing framework. I know I probably shouldn't bring this up, but that's what our government is doing right now. transitional change, maybe transformational too, but the transition change, I think that's something that I'm doing right now is transitional change. It's refining what I'm doing and adding, but still continuing with some of the core elements of it within the existing framework of speaking, coaching, and consulting. Now, how can we do this? Transformational or transitional? A desire to create value in opening new opportunities, spurring new growth, and providing new clarities. So it's becoming more aware and seeing the opportunities that if we look at it a different way. So opening new opportunities, spurring new growth, and providing new clarities can help drive personal and societal change. Today, in a world of unparalleled disruption and turbulence. And that's what we're going through as a United States, as a world. Each of us must understand what value we can and desire to add to this shift. So I believe that what I'm going to add is more of the artistic approaches because I want to impact individuals at the mental. That's where we in the Western culture think it's all about mental. No, it is not. So I think that sometimes it's just about creating disruption. We get unhappy or the turbulence, but we're going through a major change in the world right now, and it is disruption and turbulence. But you know what? A lot of the scientific research I've done says that our changes, when we hit rock bottom, is when oh, well, you know what? Maybe I better change. I'm not happy here anymore. Or I almost had an accident last night because I drank too much and I know better. I didn't. I say some people say that. But we had to hit rock bottom and say, oh my gosh, I could have been in prison the rest of my life. So we have to become aware, and sometimes the turbulence is so tough. My turbulence, in order to shift here, is not, but it's disrupting my emotional self. So again, I believe that in order to really make change, we have to be able, as coaches, as consultants, as speakers, to speak to the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual levels of human beings, of businesses. This work may challenge accepted norms, yes, discuss vulnerable aspects of society and self, yes. So I have to do something. And what if it's not in this town? Or what if it's not in this business? Or I have to step out. Or what if it's not with this group of people? Oh, I have to let them go. Or what if it's not with this organization I've been with for 10 years? We have to decide. We have to decide what is getting in the way of my taking that next step. I believe, as I said earlier, words have lost their impact. That's mental. Oh, yeah, we know that. And so it goes through one ear and out the other. So I believe words have lost the engagement and action that is responsible for taking a new path. We have to engage in discovering the true essence of self. So it's going to take engagement. So just listening and going to another speaking engagement and just sitting there and they say, step 1, step 2, step 3, and you'll become what I am. And you listen to that and you're all excited. It touches the emotions for a while. Mentally, physically, you get excited. I'm going to go home and do this. And then about, I don't know, I'll give you 3 weeks. 3 weeks later, everything gets in the way. All the important things, and the part that transcends mere physical characteristics and behaviors are engagement and action. Otherwise, we just play with those feelings we got and we talk to ourselves. Oh, it embodies, in order to encourage and engage, it embodies the core attributes that define who we are as at a fundamental level. Understanding the essence of a person involves exploring the complex interplay between identity, personality, and experiences. So understanding the essence of yourself requires you to, who am I? That's what Hello Self is about. Who am I? What kind of personality am I? How do others perceive me? What are the experiences I have? So we have to dig deep and begin to understand. And that's the good gift that Hello Self has offered to a lot of the individuals that I have interviewed, as well as they're sharing their stories and their journeys. Because I am a firm believer that in every story, there are many gifts and lots of glories. So I may not go the same way you did, take the same path, but objectives. They may have said, you know what, when I didn't know what I was doing, I just went ahead and did it. Or I went to that meeting and I had no idea why I even went to that meeting. Or somebody invited me and I didn't want to go, but I went anyway. And guess what? I met this person. Yeah. So that's the listening and the knowing. The listening is paying attention to the drive within you. Where is that? And you have to discover that. Or we can stay in our complacency and acceptance and be angry. It's not where I want to stay. So that's why I'm stepping out. For most of us have become so conditioned through educational teaching, parents, friends, associates, neighbors, society, lifestyle, and programming that can lead to lack of creativity and decisions made without critical evaluation. We can step in. Now, there are no mistakes, but take some time to evaluate and look and become aware of who you are and what your interests are and where your talents are as you see them. Because that's what's going to keep you motivated and driving. Some people, and this is our society today, groupthink and programming can lead to a lack of creativity and decisions made without critical evaluation. So, you get in a group and they start doing this and you don't even think about it. You just become part of that group. The Me Too movement is an example of where there may be little soul searching as to the why for becoming part of something. So the group think and letting somebody else think for you and just getting all caught up in the walk that way, the talk that way, the hang that way. The Me Too movement, I think, in a lot of cases has not allowed for soul searching. And why? Why am I here? Why did I become part of this group? Simon Sinek says, ask yourself why. Because when you get in that I don't like this at all kind of phase, he said, look at your why. What did you say? What was your why for joining, or what was your why for becoming part of something? A lot of times people are in these Me Too kind of movements, and then when questioned, they can't even give a decent answer about why. Why did you get in this? Why did you want to join? I don't know, Patricia. I don't know. It was just where everybody was going. We have lost our ability as individuals and organizations to act independently and express it. We're afraid that we'll offend somebody if we tell them how we really feel. Now, there's some things that you don't need if it's just being negative and, yeah, you don't like something they did. But express. How do you create your boundaries? Part of it is to let people know how you feel about this is how I feel about being part of this group, or this is how I feel about why I want to join. It's in my research in doing this, because that's partially how I got to here. Soul Work is a video that expresses Einstein's thoughts on thinking outside the box or of group thinking. Remember, we were talking about the Me Too and that people couldn't even define why. A video of Einstein on how to think outside the box video is called Soul Workout. So you can look that up. It's on YouTube. That's where I found it. So you can find it on YouTube, Soul Workout. It's a video. And I think maybe Rabbi Simon Jacobson at Meaningful Life Center highlighted that too as an important soul search. So you can look that up. It's on YouTube. The document may not define clearly where I am or this document, what I'm talking about right now, and that soul workout. But this document that I'm reading from now, that I've sat down and wrote in part of my clarifying, what do you want to do, Patricia? What's next for you? This document may not clearly define where I am or where I'm headed. You may still say, well, what did you do this for? But it has caused me to clarify one thing, that I am in a space of knowing and not knowing. You ever been there? A space of knowing and not knowing. It feels strange, and yet I've admitted to myself that I don't know. And yet so familiar at the same time. Have I ever been to this point in my life where knowing, I know that I got to do something, I know that I want to do something, but at the same time, I don't know what it is, and I don't know why I'm here. I got to figure that out. I am filled with questions of whether I have ever known, or am I awakening to a knowing that I have been here before? I think I have, but not willing to walk through the unknowing, because I'm thinking and I'm learning, and I know that we've needed to make changes, or that we've wanted to do something else, but we're not willing to go through the unknowing walk. I don't know, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Because we don't like to be in that space that we're not in control. Me too. All my family and friends know I'm a control freak. For myself, mainly. Patricia, you said you were going to do that. Now get on it. So it wasn't easy to get on here and let go of Hello Self because it's made me look at me. And as I look at me, then I have to admit that some of the things that I talk about, speak about, and coaching about are also part of my life transition. I am filled with questions of whether I have ever known or am I awakening to a knowing that I have been here before, and I am awakening to a knowing that I have been here before. I know I've gone through many moments of not knowing and stumbled into something simply because my drive to know was bigger than the fact of not knowing. And then some people say, well, how are you going to afford that? How are you going to get? I don't know. I know when I wanted to go to Italy, I just said, I want to go to Italy, God, and I know you how to get the money. I know you know how to help me get the money. I had no idea of how to get there, but I wanted to go. And guess what? I did for under $2,500. A friend of mine had a timeshare in Italy, and he said, Patricia, all you have to do is pay my timeshare annual fee. And then I had to get a flight. I had a great time. Met 10 days I was there. Met people from Germany, from Jamaica, from just name it. I didn't know how I was going to get there. I declared it. Just put it out there. What do you got to lose? And then start telling people, I'm going to Italy. Even before I had that deal from my friend. So to step up and face the letting go process or phase and open space for a new beginning, it is obvious that I am at a crossroads. And you can tell that too. And must finally make a decision. And this is a part of the decision. And another piece is to pause on my Hello Self or on my High Heels Cabaret variety show. I'm talking about a pause because that seems more gentle to my psyche than just saying, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't know. Remember, we may travel a road and then decide later to travel it in a little bit different way. Or I think sometimes when we make things too blatant like that, it takes a while for us to adjust as individuals because I don't know what's next. And I'm making it up as I go. You're part of that. Thank you very much. It seems like this process seems like planning a trip and trying to decide what to take along. That reality tells me that it is imperative that I decide where I'm going to finish this part of the journey. So I got to decide where I'm going so I'll know what to take along, or at least some steps toward what that journey is. And then I can find out, what do I need to take along? Do I need to talk to somebody who's doing this? Do I need to invite someone to be with me in helping me think through this? Do I need a coach? Oh, but anyway, I think we have to decide, what are we going to take on this journey? And that's what I've been trying to figure out is, where am I going? And I think I mentioned to you that I had done a vision board. It's funny then right in the center of my vision board is speak now. So I know what I had to do was to speak now about what I'm doing. And until we let go, we're going to straddle that knowing and not knowing, knowing and not knowing. We just keep straddling it. So we have to take a step, and I have to take a step, and this is it. Thank you for listening to this step. After having a podcast for 2.5 years of interviewing dreamers who shared their fears and did it anyway, reminded me that the path is not always clear. And I've said that to many of my clients. The path won't be clear, but the only way you can start to see the path is if you take step one and then, oh, this is new territory. I didn't think about this. Or you take a step and you run into it. Funny that I should meet you. I've been thinking about that. The universe and God, or whatever your higher self is, will help you see the next steps, but you got to be willing to commit to take step number one. So when I take that step, or you take that step, that you know you're at a crossroads and you can stand there, or you could turn left, you could turn right, and you don't know which way is exactly right, but you got to take a step out, and then you'll begin to learn more. And as you take a step out, you'll meet more people. You'll learn more. The universe will bring people into your life that you, where have you been all my life? Or, I can't believe this. I was just talking about that the other day. When these dreamers shared their fears and did it anyway, it reminded me that the path is not always clear. It is obvious that commitment and action are the best medicine for fear. Commitment and action. Okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it on this date. So it's the best medicine for fear that stops you and doesn't let you go on. It's the best medicine for fear and will require a vision to decide the prescription needed. So I think that I like that. I just made that up. But I like that a lot. It's about, we're taking all the wrong medicine a lot of time to try to get rid of the fear. And we have to say, is this the right prescription? Is it getting rid of my fear? Yes, this is to say, hello, self is on pause for I don't know how long, maybe forever. But I'm giving myself some space to find out what is the prescription needed here to allow me to get over my fear. Shallow emotions are like the ripples of on a pond surface. Shallow emotions are like the ripples on a pond surface. They're quick to form, easy to spot, but often lack the depth and complexity required for commitment and action. And that's what we're on. Shallow emotions. If we only have shallow emotions, oh yeah, we'll see something happen. We'll see some ripples. You know how when you throw a rock and skid it across the water, it makes waves. And we may step out there and do one or two things, but we never commit because we fall right back. Oh, I didn't have time to do that. Or I've got so many responsibilities right now. I don't really have the time. We're full of excuses. So we've got to dig this deep in our emotions, our spiritual self, our mental self, and our physical self in order to complete what we said we were going to do, even though where we're starting, we don't know what that is completely. I have taken some of these notes myself, and I have also taken a few ideas from a mental health library, Neuro Launch. And that's on, you can look in that to see, because a young lady approached me yesterday about a book that her company is requiring them to read, and it talks about mindset. And our mindset is some of the reasons that we don't do anything. We've got a mindset that this is all there is, or I don't have enough, or I'm not talented enough, or we come up with a million other. It's not the right time. So I like that about mindset. What is your mindset? That you're going to be successful? My mindset is that I will be successful because I have been here before. And all it did was cause me to create and find a new path that I've loved. I never stop living my life because God gave me a life and said, go live it fully, Patricia. That's what I'm saying to you. Go live your life fully. Fear will always get in the way. That's the ego. Oh, you couldn't do that. You came from a poor family. What do you know about telling anybody how? Yeah. You're just a single person out there trying to change the world. Yes, you're right. I am. Not change it, encourage it, and empower it, and inspire it. As a message artist, you'll be glad to know I'm coming to the close now. Thank you. As a message artist, speaker, coach, and consultant, I will continue to create avenues for self-awareness and expression. Expression is so important. That's how we discover who we are, is feeling free to express. We all have so much tied up in us, and we'll look at somebody we want to express, but we'll look at somebody else and say, you know what, I could do that. Why aren't you? Why aren't you? I'm asking myself that. I've got to step out. We can't be jealous of others, or we can't envy others, or we can't say to yourself, I could do that if I only. No, there are no if I onlys. We don't even know what theirs were. So as a message artist, I will continue to create awareness and self-expression. Not only for myself, but for others. Thank you all for your support over the past couple of years by participating, following, and sharing my hello self and all of the things that I have created over time, and sharing those with others. With maybe I'm hoping that they made a difference in your life. And as my closing statement, I am again reminding you and myself, I am a message artist. Coaching, speaking, and consulting by utilizing wisdom and the arts to bring awareness and empowerment in defining a runway to success. God bless. As I always close my podcast, I am Patricia Leonard, and I am grateful to have been your host for the past couple of years. And with my famous closing, I am Patricia Leonard, your host, and I always say, keep dreaming. Thank you for joining Hello Self today, and may it offer insights and inspire you to stay on your runway to success. Like, share, and subscribe. And remember this, keep dreaming.